Hi, Kat here from Back in the Saddle. How are you all? It's been a long time since I've actually just sat down and spoken to the camera. I know probably just over a year ago I started doing it just to get my confidence up and being able to talk to the camera, where now I'm actually starting to focus on exactly what I want to say and how to get it across to you guys so that there's some understanding, because I often find it difficult to be able to explain to people what it is that I need to get across and why. You know, it's very natural for some of us to be able to just go straight ahead and do things with our horses without really understanding why. It's like an innate thing that we're able to do. I watched a video this morning of a young girl on a horse that was very stuffy and not going forward. And so I wanted to talk about horses that are stuffy and that aren't going forward. But at the end of the video, the girl jumping there was jumping with arms stretched out, which is a wonderful thing to be able to do. And then when you saw her jumping the pony, you know, with the horse collected and rounding really nicely over the jump, just how confident she was in her posture and things like that. And it really inspired me actually to think that we do really have to put the groundwork in, not only on our horses and always look at them as the object of our success, or how we're doing is kind of reflected on our horses, when actually we do have to look closer at ourselves and get ourselves working correctly. So if we're kind of stuffy in our attitude or stuffy in our bodies or in our minds, then we have to look at ourselves as well. So so the reasons for having a stuffy horse, there's many reasons, but let's just cut out the basic reasons. So they're not in a good regime and they're not fit. They're overfed or eating too much, maybe grass or whatever, before they come into work. So I know with our horses at the yard, if they're in at night, we like to get them out to have a stretch of leg, but we don't leave them out too long so they get too much of a full body and then they're stuffy when they work. So, sometimes if you have a horse that is a bit flighty or a little bit too much energy, of course, it's nice to let them just go out and have a little bit of grass, settle their tummies. I never want to work a horse that has an empty tummy, that's for sure. So there's many little basic reasons why the horse might be stuffy. But when it really comes down to it, what is it going to be? A lot of this comes from the contact. If you're taking a contact, it's not going to help the horse become forward and balanced, working up through the forehand, the thoracic sling that we all seem to be talking about now, is paramount to the horse's way of going. If they're not lifting their thoracic sling, there is going to be some stuffiness because they're going to be on the forehand. So we often think, oh, well, if we gather them up and then push, we can get them up and off the forehand. Can we really? So I went to see somebody to help them with some in-hand work, and the horse definitely needed this in-hand work. And one of the reasons was because they were breaking at the third vertebrae and not taking the contact correctly. They were waiting for the rider to take the contact, and when I came to work the horse, I was trying to explain my method, again, not very easily, because I'm still learning how to explain this to people. I can see it and I can feel it and I know it, but when it comes to putting it in words, I've really struggled. People say, oh, you don't blow your own trumpet, but it's not that at all. It's because I don't know how to get it out there. When I'm writing, I write quite well. When it comes to explaining it, it's very difficult. So I was walking the horse around, trying to explain as best I could that I was waiting for the horse to take the contact, to be happy and stable in the mouth, to have a nice, soft, loose tongue is so important. for the rest of the horse's body, forgetting the thoracic sling, forgetting pushing from the hind, forgetting all of this, just purely having the relaxed tongue that isn't sucking back into the mouth, having a tongue that can roll down and out and forwards, and having the jaw relaxed is so paramount to the poll, to the neck, to throughout the whole body. So I'm walking around and I've got the horse, I've got the whip, I've got the reins, and I'm tapping to get the horse to walk forward, and we're starting to create more of a forward motion. When I feel like the horse is going forward nicely enough, I start a little bit of almost shoulder in or quarters out, and it will be I'm on a circle. I'm starting to come onto a circle. So this goes on for quite a while, because for the first time for the horse that is so used to being gathered up and they think that's contact, it is, but it's not the contact that we want. The owner again wanted to question what I was doing, which is very, very fair. So I stopped to talk, because I don't feel it's fair while I'm trying to communicate with a horse that then I'm actually ignoring him while I talk to the owner. And trying. So often I will wait until I feel the time is ready, and then I will stop and we will have our conversation. And they said to me, "Oh, you want the horse to yield?" To a certain degree, yielding, not quite, but we were starting to understand, yes, the horse will yield once they've taken the contact. So this is down the line. Anyway, so the owner said, "Oh, this is how you do it." Took the reins, tried to hold them as I'd been showing her how to hold them, and the horse came onto the bits. And that, in that session, was kind of done, because the horse had yielded, the horse had come onto the bit, and that is what the owner thought is the correct way of going. So it just proved to me I hadn't shown at all what I meant. Now, you can get back on that horse now, and the horse has yielded and the horse is on the bit. The horse is still going to be stuffy, because the horse literally cannot move forwards. So after a few more sessions, and I asked her to just constantly ride on the buckle. Just forget you have hands, almost ride like what that little show jumper was earlier. Forget the hands and just start riding from your seat, not even legs, from your seat. Because the horse's cues must be taken down, taken down, taken down. If you're having to work your horse, okay, sometimes when I get on a horse for the first time, this is what we have to resort to, and then slowly we will bring it down and bring it down and bring it down. So it's literally and you know, you wouldn't have seen that, but you did see my eyebrow go, but actually I just get a little bit of tension. Actually, when I do that, you can even see my shoulders do lift. Now, my buttocks aren't pushing down into the saddle. I'm getting a lift. And we always want the horse's back to come up to us. And that's why you might have a rounded head and neck, but the back is still going to be hollow. So this is why the horse has to take the contact, elongate their neck, so that then we call it stretching over the back. The stretch over the back is a little bit controversial, because stretching doesn't always equate to a strength. So we need to have strength to be able to have a stretch. We must have pliability, flexibility, mobility, all these things. But let me just bring it back to the whole concept of a horse that cannot move freely or does not want to move freely. there is something underlying. And when we talk about a stuffy horse, there are other things. There's the tack, there's the way we're sitting, there's the commands and things that we're giving, the aids and things like that. But initially, we must work on the contact. So your horse is already relaxed and your horse is going forward, yeah? We've got this. Now we're asking the horse to reach for the contact. When the horse can reach for the contact, you'll finally find that actually they need to reach for more contact and more contact. And by allowing this to happen, the horse starts to engage his back, engage his hocks to lift the back. And then that will bring them up and off the forehand. So a horse on the forehand, again, he's going to be stuffy, he's going to be heavy. So hope that tiny little conversation, 10 minutes worth, has caused some food for thought on what I would like you to do. And what I will probably do is pick out 1 or 2 or 3 areas of that and then explain more on these concepts, because I could talk forever and a day like this, but unless it's a two-way thing, I'm not sure that it's really worth it for you guys, because as I say, I do jump from this to that to this to that, because there's so much in here that I would just love to get out to you guys. So please do help me in my quest to help you and to help more horses. Because say, if the horse isn't moving freely or can't move freely, there is something very wrong. And the whole concept of gathering the horse up, of having to grind down in your seat rather than lifting the horse up to meet you with a little clench. So, we can all sit on our horses and let's sit, or we can sit and we can grind and lean back to get the horse going forward, and we become behind the movement and the horse's back is being ground down. Or we can kind of pull up from the nicker tendon and lift the horse up into our backs, or up into our seat. The horse's back comes up to meet us. We can't do that unless the horse is going forward and reaching our contact. So I hope that helps on the beginnings of how to help a stuffy horse. Onwards.